Hi everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday talk at towards the end of January 2024. Hope you're doing really well. I'm Shaman Marcus. We are going to be discussing both. Oh, here's a nice little saying. Because the full moon just passed yesterday and we're still in it. We're going to be in it for another 2 days or so. We are all dancing in the moonlight under the full grandmother moon. See, when we look at it from that perspective of we're all in the same light, right? We're all sitting in the same light from the moon. Depending on where you are on our planet, we're all getting hit by the same light. It also turns out that when the moon is full or when the moon is new, it is in direct angular setting from the sun, and that's both why it looks full or new. It's also the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun, they're aligned. This is why we're affected more at those times than, because I've been contemplating, why is it that only when the moon is full and new that we get affected more? Turns out that that's when the gravitational pulls are much higher. So that's a little tidbit that I thought was interesting. Now, we are going to be discussing what the healing journey contains and how it looks, right? Because so many of us are having a mass awakening right now. There's a major awakening going on across our globe, and it's lovely to see. And at the same time, it's sort of like the old paradigm is also like an animal or even a human, right? Like that is in the death throes, right? Where it's wrangling in its power. So if you look at what's going on in the Matrix right now, we can see how there's the looming wars going on, that there's bombings going on, that there's suffering going on, and control mechanisms of new inoculations and new viruses and all of this stuff that's going on across our globe, right? It's being thrown at us, sort of like the last dying death throes of a big energetic animal on our planet. And when we look at what's going on in the Matrix, we can see that the powers that are behind the Matrix, that are doing everything they can to keep spiritual awakening at bay, they try to keep people spiritually unaware, they're trying to keep everybody in fear, so that we give off more loosh, which of course Sarah Alcaldi talks about at The Alchemist, and the loosh that we're giving off is being used as food for energies that may be outside of this planet, but also it's just being used, energetically speaking, in our world to feed the Matrix. And if we are conscious of how we give it away, if we don't give it away in fear, but we actually give it away voluntarily to the light, to the good side of our universe, we are supporting both the healing powers, the balancing powers, the love powers of our world, which are, it's the good side of this millennium-long, thousands of years of battle on a different playing field than what we are aware of, in a different dimension. And in that dimension, dark energies are sucking life force energy from humanity because that's feeding the negative side, the dark side of the beasts. And on the good side, when we are free from the Matrix and we lend our energy to the good side, sitting in light, supporting the light, sitting in connection to light entities or beings, we actually are supporting that side fully on purpose, right? But while we're living in fear in the Matrix and the idea of lack, or we're living in that sense of there's not enough for all of us, there's not enough to go around, I have to make sure I have mine, when we're living in that fear, we are actually losing body energy of our life force to the dark side. This is why the mass awakening that's happening is being counterworked by the sides that are feeding from our fear and negativity. It's also why there's so much push for wars. Which of course, I said it before, but I'll say it again, if we look at how extremely negative of a solution war is, and how low vibration it is. When you actually put a pen to the paper, or you press a button, or you say, yeah, let's go to war, let's go and bomb them. If you can put yourself into that situation, you realize by saying that you're killing hundreds or thousands of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, just with your words, putting that pen to paper. If we think about the results of those actions, we realize, oh my God, how can they even do that? How can these people think that way? But they're so ingrained and entrained both in the matrix and in the fear and the power struggle of our world that they think this is the only solution. And they might not be thinking about the consequences. I don't know. I do know that it's very, very low vibration. It's very, from many places, it's very unintelligent. Yes. It's a very unintelligent solution. We look at our healing journey. It is when we start to see, when you and I, we look at our behaviors and we're like, oh my God, there's something in my life that's not working. I feel like crap. I feel like I'm not solid, or quite a few of us have been looking at relationships and we can see, my God, why do I keep attracting similar partners over and over and over? Why do I keep finding myself in similar situations over and over and over? Until we are ready to start to look at ourselves, we're not going to really understand it, right? Before we're ready to look at ourselves, we're going to sit there and we're going to be like, God, these people are crazy. It's always them, right? The partners that come into my life, there's something wrong with all of them. And the first conclusion is, of course, the opposite gender or the whatever partners you choose in your life there's something wrong with them. But over time, if we are lucky enough to start looking within, we can start to see that there's a program inside of me that's playing out. That there's some form of abandonment issue, that there's some form of dysfunctional program in my system that's playing out in all my relationships. Quite often, we have had experiences of trauma growing up, and our mind and our body has learned certain defense mechanisms so we don't have to feel the same feelings again. And when we get into intimate relationships with people, it's very easy for us to get our defenses to come back up because now we're being vulnerable, right? Because a lot is at stake. Our emotional well-being, our heart's well-being is at stake. So that's when our defenses pop up and we start to look for things that could potentially hurt us. And what are those things? Those are the things we learned as children. This is why we call it trauma. This is why we call it repetitive patterns and dysfunctional patterns and programs in our lives. And as we start to see our own programming, we can start to back off a little bit, right? We can start to recognize, uh-oh, I did it again. And one of the things could be as simple as, how worked up do I get around a situation? How emotionally invested am I in this or that situation? Do I feel like, oh my God, this is terrible? Do I feel like, or when I'm involved with somebody, do I get completely sucked into that level of reality? And that relationship, if it falls apart, life will be over, and if it works out, life will be grand. That's where I used to be. That's this place I used to sit in. And of course, it's been beautiful to see that I don't have to be as caught up in these things. That it's way more important to be grounded and rooted into this level of reality, your own level of reality. How you ground into Earth Mother and into yourself. How your chakra system aligns in a healing space, in a healing journey. So that you can both keep your body energy in what we talked about before, where we lose out of our solar plexus chakra. But also where you can keep your balance, right? Because the yin and the yang, from the old Lao Tse Tung Confucianism, right? The yin and the yang, the Tao Te Ching, is talking about how we have a balance between the masculine and the feminine. It's a moving energy, but it's a balance between the masculine and the feminine. And when we go into our traumas or our dysfunctional program, usually one or the other takes over and we go deep into this toxic space. And I'm saying we because it's important to not say they, right? Because of course, you're not alone. If you're in a dysfunctional relationship, you're not the only one. But when you've been in a few in a row, or even if it's been one long one, you're still the one in it. So you have to see your inner program in order to find freedom, in order to find that door that opens out from that internal prison that we are in when we are in suffering. When we're in this immediate sense of dysfunctional suffering, it's so heavy. And unless we can see our part, it's very, very, like, we're going to keep pointing a finger at the other person. And then we're going to meet another person and we're going to keep pointing our finger at that new person. And again, until one day, if we're lucky enough, we've reached a sense of inner stability where we are strong enough and we have the courage to look at what's my part. This is why I keep saying we, right? So it's not to accuse anybody, but it's important for us to look within, to find the solutions and the freedom. So in the healing journey, we find ourselves in these painful places. We might have lost jobs after job after job. We might have lost apartments. We might have lost partners. We might have lost family members. We might have lost people who died away from us. But we find ourselves in a lot of pain. And this is where we start to question, right? The level of reality we're in. What's going on? And why am I perceiving these things? Why are these things happening to me? And as I start sitting with that, then we start finding these answers. But we have to find our inner stability. This is kind of a growing journey, right? The healing journey starts with us looking within, starts with us going, uh-oh, maybe there's help here. Maybe there are people who have experienced similar things before me. Maybe there's a spiritual solution to these problems I'm going through. Because so many people, when we go to Western medicine, they're suggesting medication. They're suggesting things that are really far-fetched quite often. While if you go within and you find yourself, you don't need medication. You become your healing power. But of course, it is a journey. Yeah. But the healing journey starts in one end when we begin to dare to open our mind and open our hearts. And then we have a change of perception. We end up changing our habits, and we end up changing our food. And even our food is right, like either what we eat physically, or how we feed our mind, or how we feed our heart, what music we're listening to, what movies we're watching, what TV shows we're watching, what people we hang out with, what crowds we are attracted to or being attracted to, how we dress, what we wear, how aware we become of the impression and imprint we both give others and that we perceive from others, how we can ground into our body and energy field. These are habits. And also how we feed both ourselves energetically, physically, emotionally, right? Do we spend time outdoors in the sun, feeding our soul and our physical body as well? There's another part of this, what the Matrix is trying to tell us, is how dangerous the sun is. Doctors are repeatedly saying how dangerous the sun is, how we should always be covered up and how we should never be in the sun without cover. And of course, if you want to cut people out from their natural feelings and from how you actually feel when you're in your natural element, yeah, tell them to not be in the sun. But if you want to actually find a strong sense of self and a healing power, you spend time in the outdoors. You spend time in nature, in the woods, in the mountains, by the ocean, in the sun. And of course, we don't have to overdo anything. But for God's sakes, the sun is life-giving. So, healing journey, learning all these things, there's an awakening happening. Sometimes the awakening will happen before our healing journey starts. And I have quite a few people who come to me with some really severe symptoms from an awakening that they were not prepared for or even wanted. So they have had a feeling of being like we're attacked by energies and voices. They hear voices, they see people. And in the Western world, we call that, we have a word for it, right? An illness. In shamanic traditions and indigenous traditions, we call that a gift. And we try to help people with those kind of gifts to move into a healthier space so that it becomes a little easier to adjust to this new level of reality. Because what it really is that we have broken past the three-dimensional agreements that many people in our world has. We have an agreement basically with the Matrix where we have agreed to all the colors and all the living in a box and, that this is that and this is that. And when those agreements starts to crumble and you have energetic stuff coming your way, you start picking up on things in the ether. This is where it becomes hard if you're not prepared, if you haven't been meditating, if you haven't been doing your inner work. It's very difficult to go through that experience because it can be scary as all heck. And then it's interpreted as a negative experience. Then the messages you hear turns very negative. While if you're prepared for this, if you're in a healthy inner space, when you start having your awakening and hearing guides, the messages that's coming through is loving, peaceful, positive, upbuilding. So we can ground ourselves through meditation. It's very, very important. Remembering meditation. Make time. Put time aside. Just like if you have been going to the gym, you might be going to the gym because you want to look good. Well, if you want to feel good, you sit in meditation. If you want to feel centered, you sit in meditation. If you want to feel sane, in my case, I had to get sane, you sit in meditation. And it's so interesting, right? Like for me, the shamanic journey, the shamanic walk has gotten much deeper, and the broader and deeper it gets, in a way, the more insane I sound from where I came from. But the more sane is the world I live in. It's very fascinating. And then so the healing journey, which starts with looking at ourselves, it starts with changing habits, which could be food, could be how we perceive the world, how we perceive ourselves. It's going to be a healing journey inside where we start finding traumas that are stuck in the system, where we breathe space into different contractions in the body. It's a whole movement of energy that's going through the physicality of our body in order to upgrade us, so we are ready to upgrade our DNA, to upgrade ourselves to a higher level. And this journey can sometimes be fast and sometimes be slow, but it is a journey that we're on. It is a movement, like an upbuilding spiral, kind of like life. So we have a phenomena in life called spin. And part of spin, if you look at our DNA as humans, it's spinning. If we look at the patterns on the seashells, they're all spun in a cyclical spiral pattern. And if you look at how Earth moves, it spins and moves through the universe, following the sun in a spiral. And the sun itself is spinning and moving through the galaxy in a very big spiraling form. The whole galaxy is spinning in a spiral shape. And in the center we have a big black hole. Everything has a similar motion. So when we start looking at our inner building journey, it becomes an upbuilding spiral of healthier habits, healthier self-loving, self-worthful habits and thought processes and experiences. And maybe one day things that used to make you feel like crap, make you feel like, oh my God, I suck, I don't belong, I'm a terrible human, might be offering more freedom, where you might be able to see, oh, that just happened and I used to feel so terrible about it. Now I can see that these other people are doing their thing. I can see that it has nothing to do with me. I can see that I was just taking things very personally before, because I wasn't grounded, because I thought I needed my self-worth from them. I needed my self-love from outside. Right? So as we go into this journey, I'll be wrapping it up here, but we find the healing journey starts in that place of dark night of the soul, and we move into, and then we're going to go through more dark nights of the soul through the healing journey, but it's a part of the process of awakening. So then we awaken, then we find meditation, or we find meditation right away. Maybe we found meditation first. Either way, no matter how the order of these things happen, these are the parts of an awakening healing journey. So then we come into continued healing. And this is a continuing into our chakra centers, chakra system, continuing growing roots both into Earth Mother, and then connecting to Father Sun, Father Sky above through the crown chakra, and connecting the chakra system so that they are all balancing and supporting each other. This way we are becoming healthier. This way we become more centered and grounded. And it's easier to stay in our loving space. It's easier to open our hearts. And as we come deeper into the heart journey, we realize that it's through the heart that this journey really happens. And that we go deeper into love. Right? Because love, so if we say that fear-based luge is feeding the dark side, love is that energy, that creative force of our planet. It's the highest vibration we can sit in, and it's the highest vibration and frequency of our planet. So the more of us who can sit in love, the easier it is for the other people to find it. The more of us who can sit in that heart-centered love space, in a frequency vibration of kindness and love, the easier it is for more people to come in. They find us like beacons. And they're like, oh my God, that feels so good. Maybe wars and other negative solutions are not the solution for this. Maybe love and finding a positive solution is the way we can go. So all of these things lead into that heart space. And as a last little thing, when we look at the imprint the earth has outwardly in the universe. So there's been quite a few people who speak about this. There's Dolores Cannon who've done all these interviews with a lot of people under deep hypnosis. And then there's many other reports of similar ideas, right? And if I look at the astrological functions of our world, how we are being affected by where Pluto is in the Pluto, which is the smallest planet furthest away in our solar system, is still affecting us a lot. Where it entered into Aquarius just now, moved from Capricorn to Aquarius, and it's going to be there for a while and then back into Aquarius. But it's been a big shift in energy here on our planet. And I believe I can feel that very strongly. And I think a lot of people can. We can look around, we feel it very strongly. So if the other planets are affecting us this much, and quite a few of them are uninhabited, but the energy from them is still affecting us. Our Earth, as a planet, is inhabited with a lot of humans that when we are in our higher states, we are sending out really positive, high loving frequencies. But when we're in our lower frequencies and states, we're sending out heavy energy of fear, negativity, anger. And we're also polluting our own world with heavy metals, with bombs, with killing. All this gives off a very heavy frequency out into the universe. So just like we are being affected by the other planets and gravity pull and magnetic fields, we are also affecting the rest of the world. This is part of the reason why it's imperative that humanity come into a higher state. This is part of the reason why it's imperative that we move into that state of love. if we want to survive, if we don't want to implode by our own negativity. So the more of us who sit in that loving state, the closer we are to create that higher state here. But it's interesting, right? Because this means that there is a connection out there as well. And it's lovely. Now, thank you for joining me today. Like I said, there's probably going to be one video on Fridays and one on Mondays. And this is the live on Mondays and regular on Fridays. Hope this video spoke to you. I hope you feel good from hearing this. And that if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to write. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And thank you for joining me today. So much love. Namaste and aho.